Listen, ma'am, you are not in your early 20s anymore.
This is why I also have a gallon of water next to me in the chair.
Still sounds like death, but...
Welcome back to the Shaken Not Scared podcast, a podcast where we talk about classic and modern horror movies while we try to come up with a themed drink to go with it. Here with you as always, your hosts Eric and Vivi. Today we're going to talk about the 2007 movie Wreck, directed by Jaume Balagueró and Paco Plaza. But first, how are you, Vivi?
Okay, we've had an interesting week here.
And for no reason at all.
Yeah, I got my second dose of Pfizer and it kicked my ass.
It really did for several days
so
straight.
Hard, yeah. Basically slept like 24 hours since getting it. Had the whole deal. Fever, chills, nausea, body aches.
Do you think Loki noticed?
Kinda, because I would lay on the couch, and usually when I'm on the couch, I'll like throw toys at him and stuff, like play with him. So he kept dropping his toys at me, and I was just like dead laying there. And he'd be like, okay. And then I noticed like every few hours, and I was laying there, he'd come up to me and smell my breath, like, you still alive, bitch? Okay. And then walk away.
That's what we do to him when he's not breathing. He's never calm.
Yeah.
So he's probably thinking the same thing about you.
Maybe.
He's like, you have a job to do, and that is to play with me.
Ma'am.
And you're not doing it.
Oh,
ma'am.
I thought he was going to be like, ma'am, I need someone to support the treats and food that you provide. You need to get to work. But another reason it was super weird after that, after I revived and came back from the dead.
Just for this.
We had an intruder in the house. Do you want to talk about it since you're the one who caught it?
Well, I didn't catch it, but because we live on the second floor, we hear noises all the time.
Oh, do you want to give him the apartment number?
Yeah, let's do it. But I mean, we live in a building where you hear noise all the time. So typically don't really ever respond to sounds, but this time it sounded like the crunching was right inside. Then I was like, that's not normal. And you were like, yeah, you're always like, it's nothing. I'm like, no, that was definitely something. So I went to the office and we have Mortimer, our skeleton, just sitting in the office chair. And I thought maybe he slid over. Turned to my right and I just see a flying squirrel, which I found out later, chilling on the floor in front of my desk. And I'm like, you're not gonna believe this.
You literally like came into the living room and were like, don't freak out. That's the one thing you say when you want someone to freak out. And you're like, we have a giant rat in the house. I'm like, this is how it ends.
To be fair, I did say I didn't know what it was. I said, I don't know if it's a mouse or a rat because it had a weirdly shaped tail. So I came back to the office and I was like, well, what the hell do I do? So we have one of those like paint pole brush things that you can put on a paintbrush. Grab that to try to nudge it. We have this huge patio door, so I tried to open the patio door to try to get it to go outside. That thing was like not understanding that the outside was through that thing because it just kept running back and forth between the one side and the other. At one point it like climbed my monitors and jumped at me, and that's when I realized it had little gliders.
Yeah,
so,
that's when you found out. It was in that moment Eric realized he fucked up.
No, the fact that it jumped at me, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
We were talking about like if I had swung at it to get it out the door.
Because in that moment I was like by the door watching this unfold, screaming. You were like, close the door, because it's gonna run into the rest of the house. And I did. I was on the other side of the door, so it kind of like locked me out of the room. And I just hear like banging and crashing, and then I just hear you like, fuck the closet door!
Yeah, it ran straight into the closet. I was so pissed. Since we live in a condo, we don't really have a place for storage, so that's our storage closet. So it was just, there was no way I was going to get it out anymore. So I just started tearing the whole closet apart. It was definitely not a good time. I didn't end up finding it until I saw that there was a giant hole behind our water heater. So that's probably where it went. It's probably also where it came from.
So moral of the story, we have not known peace since that evening because it's probably somewhere in the walls or it might pop out. We hope it went to somebody else's apartment, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah, coworker said to just put nuts out and guide it out the door, put some signs up.
That's how you get more squirrels in.
I was like, are you serious?
Also, shout out to our terrible guard dog who did not notice or smell a squirrel in the house at all.
No, he was more worried about me tearing the closet apart and all his toys.
Yeah, because all his food and treats are there and his toys, and he saw you laying them on the ground and he was like, oh boy, I'm about to have a good time.
It's midnight, but I'm not too worried about sleep tonight. I see all the toys, the treats.
That was not a fun time.
No, we'll see if it continues. Otherwise, we have a new roommate.
No.
I'll ask him when he's going to start paying rent.
But I guess we should start talking about creepy content. Like I said, I was dead on the couch for like a good chunk of the day. And I saw that there was this movie on Shudder that everyone's like, it's about to leave Shudder. You should go watch it. It's called The Devils. It's from 1970s, I believe. And I started it, but like because I was basically in and out of sleep, I kept like stopping it and starting it. And I got like through the majority of it. I had like 15 minutes left and it was taken off Shudder. So I don't know how this ends.
Oh no.
But I believe it's based on the story of the Devil of Loudun because it's a wild movie.
Is this like based on anything?
Yeah, the Devil of Loudun.
But is that like a real...
That's a case. It's a story.
Okay.
A historical story.
We should probably cover that in a minisode.
Yeah, maybe I'll like actually look for the movie, finish it, and then talk about the history of it. That's a wild case. But it's very strange movie. It's very sexual and religious.
My two favorite things in combination.
Mixed together. Yeah. So it gives the movie an interesting vibe. It's very well shot for being in the 70s. It's like pretty cool stylistically. Can't feel like I can give it a good review because I haven't seen the last couple minutes, but it's pretty brutal. Basically like the Inquisition when you're accused of being the devil and like how they torture you and what they do to you.
Someone's accused me of being the devil before.
Yeah, but in modern times, not...
Yeah, in elementary school, I was literally a child when someone said this.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's probably more reasons for that.
Yeah. But we were also watching, finally, after a week of chaos, because I've been begging you to watch this. I've
wanted to watch it. It's just that I've had so much going on. Yeah. But yes, it's a good time. I can't wait.
We started In Search of Darkness.
Yep. A journey into iconic 80s horror.
Because we talked about the first one a couple episodes back, I think.
It's really cool. Honestly, I think we've mentioned before that this is the reason we also got very inspired to continue to dive deeper into the movies and do our own show. We already had a list ourselves. And honestly, being in those Facebook groups and seeing all the movies that I've never heard of, I'm like, man, this list is never going to end.
It feels like that sometimes, but I'm not complaining about it.
No, right. Yeah, it's great. It's good stuff.
Pretty fun. It seems like they're covering more like the B-list, not as popular movies of the 80s, which is also interesting. It also gives insight to the times.
They did bring on new speakers too. I noticed that their topics are a little different. I feel like in the first one they were going after themes, and in this one they're going year by year, but also addressing themes at the same time.
Yeah, I definitely felt like the first one was more general because they were trying to encompass everything. And now they're kind of like, we can dissect some things more prominent here. Like we got to the section where they were talking about Italian horror, which I think is really interesting. Suspiria or Suspiria or however you say it. It's like one of my favorites.
Which if you voted on Twitter, which Vivi did.
I did. We're covering that next.
We're covering that next. Yep.
Yeah, love that movie. Or we might cover Insidious because I have an idea for Insidious. So
cool. We could do both.
¿Por qué no los dos? Yeah. So what did you watch this week? I've been talking for a long time.
Well, I've been watching Handmaid still for a while, and I've been forgetting to bring it up on the show, but it is a bit fucked. It's
to say the least.
Yeah, it's a future where birth rates have decreased significantly, and in an attempt to allow the elite, quote unquote, to continue to flourish, an organization or religion or whatever the hell it is started to enslave women who are able to bear children to force them to have the children of those supposed elite, which is fucked. I hate it. It's so depressing. It's insane.
You're only like
stupid.
So much worse.
What's worse is that you can imagine this actually happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember watching this. Came out like years ago during like the debate of Roe versus Wade being overturned and things like that. And I'm like, we're progressing back. We're gonna be in Handmaid's Tale. That was like a joke everyone was making, but it was also very like nervous laughter. This could happen. Yeah. It's really unsettling to say the least. I like how you made your own little summary.
Wait, why?
Instead of looking one up.
Yeah.
Because you were gonna get spoilers.
I told you, I was like, I'm only 3 episodes in. I'm sure that this little description is probably not the gist of it. But I'm also gonna start reading some Marvel scary issues. I found a list. The top scariest stories that Marvel has in history. So there's like Journey into Mystery. There's a couple of different series that have had creepy stories, like Marvel Zombies. That's on my list. But there's a more recent story called Absolute Carnage. I don't know if you're familiar with symbiotes, but each of those... Symbiotes.
How did she say it in
what's her name?
Venom?
Kelly?
No.
What was her name?
She's Tammy in Bob's Burgers. Yeah. She was Misty in Big Mouth.
But anyway, she said symbiotes. I don't know who told her to say it that way. But anyways, so symbiotes in Marvel Comics, Spider-Man's most iconic, Venom, right, the black suit, is his symbiote. But there were other symbiotes in the comic and Marvel universe. And so Null apparently has been introduced as a symbiote god, or symbiote god. He's trying to collect spinal codices, whatever that is, but he has to take...
Sounds delicious.
He has to take the spinal codices of every single symbiote host that has ever existed. Apparently the issues have a lot of spine removals. So, I guess I'll see once I dive into it.
Is it, like, inspired by Mortal Kombat?
I mean, I'm sure at this point.
Everything is.
Everything is. So it'll be a good time. Absolute Carnage. I hope to get into it. And then I want to read Alien. And that one's also not released yet in Marvel Unlimited.
Alien as in Alien horror series.
Sci-fi.
That is known already, like already established.
I don't know if it's because Fox owned it or what it was, but maybe Marvel acquired those rights as well, and so they can create Alien issues and Predator too. I heard that they want to do like a Alien and Predator series of movies where they expect a movie or two to be released every year for the next 6 years or something like that.
That's funny. I feel like we already get a lot of Alien and Predator movies every couple of years.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of standard for them.
I'm wondering if this is to reset it.
Starting all over again.
Yeah, let's get Ripley back in it too.
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver. Current age, doesn't matter. Let's just put her back in
Yeah, I'll
there.
watch her. I don't care.
Same here. But if there's a new series that just got released this year, 2021, only in 2 issues at the moment, but because my Marvel subscription, it's Marvel Unlimited, that's like backtracked 6 months, I won't be able to see it until 6 months from now. It's like
so you can't get like releases 6
not
months
immediate
out.
releases.
Oh,
yeah. So
kind of lame.
Yeah, I guess, but it kind of also promotes you to go and buy the actual issues if you want to read it now and not wait.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
You know, so.
But then you gotta leave your house.
And go see a creepy guy at the counter at your local comic book shop.
They're
not all creepy. I'm just saying that sometimes they're weird.
Say, we went to 2, and at one place, the guy was very standoffish and like...
Looked at us like we didn't belong there.
Yeah, he did.
And then the next
Cue
one...
Eric walking in with an entire arm full of Marvel...
And DC tattoos.
And DC tattoos. And then the other one, he was super friendly, and he's like, yeah, I'll give you anything you need.
Ultra friendly. I was there to look for the Deadpool 30th birthday issue, and the guy was like, you know what? It's all sold out, but I'll find one for you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a really cool guy.
What you would expect when you go to, like, a comic book store.
You want people to come to these places, because they're kind of, like, struggling at the moment with everything being digital. But that's my creepy content. Do you want to talk about the cocktail?
Yes.
You're excited for this one?
No.
No?
I'm not excited to drink what I've prepared this early in the morning.
Oh, God. That's not painting a good picture for it.
Okay, so I think you're really going to like this one. This one might be your favorite. If you haven't seen Rec, we're going to summarize it in a minute right here. But essentially, it deals with a virus in an apartment complex. That made me think, okay, I want to make like a virus shooter. And then I was like, okay, we're going to do the virus and the cure. So that's what I did. So I made a shooter, and then the cure is the Penicillin Drink. It's a common known cocktail. There's like a bunch of cocktails out there.
Did you alter it?
No, I did the classic recipe because it's called penicillin, so I wanted to see what it tastes like. I thought it was going to be like, you know how Starbucks has those, I think they're called like medicine ball drinks when you're sick. I think it's just like tea, lemon, and honey. I wanted to see if it tastes like that, so.
Oh, is that basically all that's in it?
It is kind of the recipe. It's just you add scotch.
Oh, amazing.
So the shooter is a little disappointing because I had an idea of how it would look, and it just did not come out like that.
It still looks pretty cool.
Really? I think it looks like gross. Well, it's
Gross.
a virus.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's not supposed to look cute.
Yeah.
We can get this little cute little virus.
Yeah. It's cute. Yeah, it looks like someone pissed blood into a shooter. I'm going to try to make it look...
It really does. I hate you. Oh, did you say,
Are you ready to drink it?
Ooh, here's some pea blood. You ready?
Cheers.
Jeez.
I didn't finish it. I hate this.
Enjoy.
Do not drink this.
So good. I mean, somebody probably likes this. Right? I mean, it's got to exist because someone liked it. Cute little nasty virus.
Cute little nasty. Oh my god. Okay, I'm going to drink the other drink to get the taste out.
Okay. Did you have to cook the pineapple that you garnished with? You like put it in a pan, right?
No, es piña.
What is it?
It's ginger.
Jengibre. That's how you say ginger in Spanish.
Oh,
BT
fun
dubs.
fact.
Since we're talking about Rec, there's going to be a lot of Spanish in this episode.
Thoughts on this one?
I like that. But it's also my type of drink.
It is your type of drink.
I could see how it's like the medicine ball with scotch. Definitely tastes all the scotch.
I needed to drink a little more because I still had the taste of the shooter in my mouth. It's just very lemony.
It definitely tastes like what you would think would be like lemon, honey, and tea.
Yeah.
Just with alcohol in it.
The worst drink shooter I've ever made. It tastes like a cleaning product. I'm going to give it a 0 out of 5. It's my first 0 out of 5 here. The penicillin, it's not my drink. Yeah, it's decent. It's not my thing. I'm not a alcohol neat person, so I think I'd give it like a 2. The shooter, I tried something I've never had before. It's
definitely a 0 for me too.
Oh yeah, it's disgusting. So this drink calls for like a citrus vodka type thing. We went to the store and they didn't have any. I'm tired of giving you vodka. So I got a citrus rum, and I'm sure it wouldn't have tasted that different with the vodka, but it's a lemon clear liquor that just tastes like cleaning solution.
If anything, I feel like the vodka one would have been
better.
Nastier?
Well,
I guess we'd have to taste the rum and the vodka next to each other too.
I'm going to tweak this recipe because it's so bad.
We'll probably post the tweaked one in the original.
Are you ready?
am ready. We're going to do a speed run. I think we like that energy that we get from doing speed runs. If you guys listen to the Creepshow episode, I know that 13 Ghosts, we didn't necessarily do it, but we've been getting a lot of really good feedback from the speed run episode.
Yeah, this episode's essentially a trial and error,
Yeah,
I guess.
So let us know after this one, too, if you like this.
So what are we doing? 2 minutes? Or
Well, this one was an hour 15. I guess you could do 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Seems kind of long, but...
I don't know.
So
So much happens.
Okay. We're also going to do it in English and Spanish.
Yeah, this is fun. Okay, so I'm just going to give a quick overview. Also, we made the unfortunate mistake of renting this movie in English.
Jesus Christ.
Do not do that, because they dubbed over the Spanish, and it's pretty distracting for at least the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Disclaimer, that's if you actually speak Spanish. I'm assuming that if you don't.
If you
it's
don't,
fine.
still rent it in Spanish. You just put subtitles.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think dub is so distracting when it just does not match up.
It was pretty bad. I was like, this is from 2007. I thought movies improved dubbing-wise a long time ago. But definitely not. To be fair, I think in that...
Take a nasty shot every time Eric says, to be fair, in these episodes.
In Search of Darkness, the one lady does say that dubbing is pretty damn hard, so...
Yeah.
You know, kudos to them. No disrespect to those who dub over it. It's just, I couldn't do it. We couldn't do it.
No, it was bad. We watched it because we had already paid for it. We rented it.
We've seen the original in Spanish, too.
Just watch it in Spanish, y'all. Okay, so... quick overview from IMDb. Late night TV host Angela and her cinematographer are following the fire service. Why did they say fire service? Why not firemen? Okay. The fire service on a call to an apartment building. But the Spanish police seal off the building after an old woman is infected by a virus which gives her inhuman strength. Spanish police. Pretty sure in Spain they're just called police. Racist.
Well,
Racist overview.
Honestly.
Just kidding.
A lot of these descriptions, when you read them, you're like, why couldn't it just be... I think when we looked it up on Vudu, it also said, a beautiful TV reporter. It's like, it just could have just said...
You could have just said a reporter.
Yeah.
It's a short one.
But, fun facts.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
I didn't really find any good sites to find, like, trivia or fun facts for, so I went to IMDb. Apparently they have a trivia section, so I might use that if I can't find any other good stuff.
Oh, you should quiz me. I don't know anything.
I saw somebody had posted on social media that there's what's that game? It's a board game where you can play
like
trivia.
Trivial Pursuit?
Trivial Pursuit, but it was a horror one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would want to be good at it, but wouldn't. Because, like, there's things I know that I forget constantly. Like, you could tell me, John Carpenter directed The Thing and what other movie, and I would literally be wearing that shirt that says John Carpenter's Halloween, and I'd be there like,
Oh, okay. I was going to say, a shirt that has literally the answer.
Literally, I'd be like, oh no.
Yeah. I'm going to be sitting in front of you literally with that shirt on.
You're like, we're
both
getting
of us will be smashing. Yeah.
We're both going to be like, oh, what was it?
Yeah. But the person who did share it also said they're like, I thought I was really good at horror and did not
Apparently
know a lot
I'm
of the
not.
answers. Yeah, probably be helpful to be more knowledgeable on this show for those of you guys who listen and look for actual information that's useful.
So I think part of the fun of the show is what I like to call casually creepy, where we really love this stuff, we do, but we don't know the facts the way other people do, and like through this show we're kind of learning it a little more.
Yes, because as we've been watching more of In Search of Darkness, I'm recognizing a lot more that I'm.
You know
that we're
why
doing
I
deeper
love
dives.
that series so much? It reminds me so much of the like VH1s. I love the 90s. I love the 80s that
Yes.
I watched growing up, but like specifically for horror.
Harar.
So it's my cup of tea.
I wonder if they'll go into other decades.
I would love that. I mentioned that on the other episode that
I
I
know
want
the
the 90s, I want the early 2000s.
I know that the 80s is like the most iconic, so that's probably why this is a thing. I don't know if like the 90s and everything else was iconic enough to do a whole thing on it, but we'll see.
I don't know.
Do
I'm
it,
sure
Shudder.
there
Do it.
is.
Just don't,
I'm sure
don't
there
care.
is. We just can't think of any. We're not wearing the t-shirts to remind us.
No. Cool. So the directors were originally thinking about making the TV crew shadows some police officers, but switched to firemen after it was determined that they were more popular and accepted by the public following 9/11.
Oof.
That's pretty loaded.
There's some connotations there. There's some scenes in here too that did not age well or aged exactly as you would think they would.
Oh, there's some pretty problematic things in this movie.
Yeah.
Another one, the actors were not given the entire script, so some of them were truly surprised with a lot of what was going on to get real reactions. Some didn't find out how their characters were going to die until the day of filming their scene. When the fireman falls from the stairs, no one knew this was going to happen, so everyone's reaction is real.
That scene's great. I forget that it happens every time I watch this movie, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that was a good scene.
You thought he was dismembered.
Well,
so
she
much
did.
blood.
She did bite his cheek, but I thought like she like bit a pit. She
Bit his pit.
bit his pit. That's where I draw the line. No animal
Can you
cruelty.
imagine? It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, not.
Oh. We were thinking of different things here. You thought armpit. Eric raised his arm into the mic as he said pit. I realized too late.
Can you imagine getting bitten in your pit?
I think I don't know.
How do you do that? You just like lift the arm?
Yeah, maybe if you were
So
like
much work.
blocking. Okay, yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about it in a sec. What else you got?
The final shot was also actually shot in the dark, so the actors really couldn't see what was going on.
Wow,
So
that makes it pretty authentic.
It does. You imagine like if the crew is literally out here to just scare the crap out of you and get real reactions out of you, and you're just in the dark for real, acting, but also not sure what the hell's about to happen.
That's not acting at that point. That's just fear.
It's good one way to do it though.
Yeah.
Cool. So those were decent. I don't know if entirely fun.
I mean, facts are facts. I'm not ready to do the timed.
You're
thing.
nervous?
That's why I'm like stalling here.
Okay, I was like, why are you
Just looking at me.
Yeah.
In fear yourself.
Okay, ready?
Hold on.
Go.
No. 2 minutes? I get 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
This is gonna be so bad. I didn't
I
prepare.
have to do it in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yours isn't so bad. I don't speak Spanish.
So
that
much
well.
happens though. Okay. I'll start.
Since-
Okay.
1, 2, 3, go.
Okay, so Angela and Pablo are on a TV show called While You Were Sleeping, and they are filming at the fire station, kind of like how they do their regular rounds. So the fire station gets a call to go to this apartment, and they're following the camera, and it's like, oh, an old lady fell, and they're like, let's go investigate. And they go in there, and the old lady's like standing perfectly fine, covered in blood, and shit escalates quickly. Like the lady attacks him and bites off the police officer's cheek. Did you hit pause? I don't know what you did. Okay.
Keep going. You're wasting time.
And then, like all hell breaks loose after that. They're like, what the hell is happening? They've closed us off. They're not letting us back out. And then,
You lose time every time you say
they're fighting and don't know what's going on. One of the police officers stayed upstairs and is thrown down. And it's like all chaos breaks loose. There's essentially, over the course of the night, they all get picked off by zombies. It's a virus. They don't know what's going on. The little girl's sick. They're carrying her around. And then they get picked off. They're all fighting. It's all that stereotypical zombie movie stuff. And then it's like the end. And you realize it's not a zombie virus. It's a demon virus because a dude from the Vatican, it was staying there in the apartment. And he kept a possessed demon girl and was experimenting on her to extract the virus. There might be a little boy. Did he impregnate her? We don't know. And she attacks Angela and Pablo in the end because they're the last survivors with the camera. And you just see Angela getting dragged away at the end. I skipped so much in the middle.
You did. You were at 1:30.
Oh, I had 30
You should have really done a minute. Probably
Okay.
A lot better. It's pretty good. Good job. You did skip a lot.
I did skip
You
a
didn't
lot.
even talk
Because it's like, how do you explain the chaos that continuously is just like, bam, this person got killed. Bam, this person got killed.
This person was just sweeping. And then this other person got
This
killed.
little old lady was just cold with her cardigan.
And we never see what happened to her.
She might have survived. We don't know. They just went back to their room and went to sleep and they survived. That's what I would do.
We thought you were dead.
All right.
That's why we didn't need you.
You ready?
Shit.
So easy to criticize, but when it's your turn.
I told you it was going to be hard. I knew it was going to be hard in Spanish.
All right. In Espanol, please.
And in Spanish?
In Spanish?
Yo.
Okay. Is this our attempt at a bilingual show?
There it is.
In case this wasn't clear, Rec is a international movie. It's not in the U.S. It was remade in the U.S. Maybe that should have been a fun fact.
Quarantine. I've seen it. It's crap.
You've seen it? Okay. I haven't seen it because, the original's good. So, are you ready?
Okay. It's going to
1,
be so hard.
2, 3, go.
Una reportera y un camarógrafo se van a donde están los bomberos y van a hacer un reporte y están hablando todos y le están enseñando la estación, pero luego de repente suenan las alarmas, se van a un edificio donde hay gente que está gritando que supuestamente una señora que vive arriba estaba gritando, entonces van a investigar, encuentran a la señora toda con sangre, ella muerde uno de los policías que está ahí, también empieza el caos. Se van para abajo, se llevan al policía, está mordido, todos están gritando que qué pasó, lo que sea, y de repente la policía que está afuera les está diciendo que no se pueden ir, y les dicen que se quedan adentro y que va a entrar un médico para decirles lo que está pasando. Entonces el médico les dice que es un virus y que se está desparramando por todo el edificio. Entonces empiezan los zombies empiezan a infectarse todos los que están ahí. La última, la reportera y el camarógrafo son los últimos que quedan porque después del caos todos se mueren y están buscando las llaves para salirse, pero los policías afuera todavía no los están dejando salir. Encuentran un cuarto arriba donde donde encuentran que no es un virus, pero es algo del demonio, donde un señor estaba haciendo experimentos y encontró que es un virus, pero como del diablo. Y encuentran la muchacha la muchacha que estaba poseída y ella los mata y ya la última no se sabe qué pasó.
Wow, you also came in at 1:30.
I wasn't sure how much time I had.
Yeah. Okay, so we came a little under with this one.
How did I do in Spanish? I don't know if that was decent. I skipped a lot too.
You also skipped a lot. I felt like you tried to translate my
Oh no, I was just trying
summary.
to go off of what
Memory.
I remembered. Yeah.
Well, it was the same.
I mean, yeah.
Not bad.
Poseída, I don't even know if this is the right word. Probably, right?
I think it is.
Okay, cool.
If you're not a Spanish listener, this
Skip
is
that.
for fun. I guess, should we talk about literally all the stuff we missed, like, in the middle? So I would like to point out that the beginning when they're setting up on how to record and stuff reminds me of podcasting, where they're like, here, how does this sound? Does it look right this way? Okay, count me in.
Apparently she's actually a real reporter.
Not an actress?
No.
That would have been a fun fact.
It was, but I didn't think it was that fun.
I think it's fun.
I mean, I brought it up now. There it is.
Thanks.
But so I watched this in high school, I think. And I remember watching it thinking it was real.
This is a found footage film, if it's not obvious from the cameraman situation. This is funny to say, but you watched it in high school, and then you texted me, because we knew each other in high school, and you were like, you gotta watch this movie. And I watched it because you're like, I love this movie, you gotta watch it. And it's really good. I really like this movie.
Watching it in Spanish, I think, is the way it was supposed to be watched, adds way more, I think, fear to it than in English.
We've said stuff scarier in Spanish than in English sometimes. Maybe it's because when our parents threatened us, they threatened us in Spanish, not English.
El Cucuy sounds definitely scarier than the Boogeyman. El Cucuy, La Llorona. What else?
Oh, man.
Ese señor allá?
Yeah. Te va a llevar.
Translation is that man was standing over there.
That strange man over there is gonna kidnap you.
These are threats that we got as children, okay? Love you, mom and dad.
Just kidding, don't hit me. I'm 30, I have a mortgage, but don't hit me.
Yeah. So I thought it was funny that this whole intro scene is... you know what it reminded me of, like, PBS? When you're watching
Yeah, you get the vibe that the show that they're on is like a local broadcasting...
It's called While You're Sleeping.
Mientras tú dormías or something.
She's kind of just like...
trying to get a good story and...
there's not much.
Pushing and trying to make it work. At one point she says, hopefully you get like a crazy call tonight. And like she got what she wished for 10 times more.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
The alarm goes off and they're like, do we go down the pole as well? And the cameraman's like, bro, I'm carrying a literal camera. No. So they take the stairs. By the time they get outside, the firefighters are already dressed. And she's like, oh my God, that was so fast. And he's like, well, it's literally our job.
Yeah. They bring him into the back and they arrive at this apartment that's like pretty close by. I'm gonna just walk into like a scenario. And like, I think I pointed this out to you. And this is where I will give like firemen props. You're walking into a situation where you don't know what the fuck is happening.
Oh.
Early on they mentioned it could be like someone needs help with their pet. It could be an actual fire. We never know until we get there to assess the situation.
Yeah, because sometimes they also act as like paramedics until the actual paramedics show up, right?
Yeah. So in that aspect, I thought it was like, that's pretty cool to see.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Even though it's not even the point of this
behind
movie.
The scene, yeah.
But we do get introduced to all the folks who live in this building. Reminded me a lot of like El Chavo del Ocho, where it's like just all the different characters.
Yeah, we were watching it. Sorry guys if this episode's very like, you have to be Latino to understand the jokes
I'm not sorry.
References.
Figure it out.
Okay, but there's this show called Los Vecinos. It's called The Neighbors. And I turned to you, I'm like, they literally look like Los Vecinos, but like tipo goth, a darker version of a comedy.
We were talking about this because we were watching Into the Darkness and how we were talking about like foreign films. You don't understand their culture, and so you can't view things in their point of view versus like American.
We had a whole debate about how Italian films, horror films specifically, were viewed a certain way by American audiences because they didn't understand them culturally. And then we were talking about like, well, it was just kind of eye-opening how much people can have a Western view of the world. And when you come from a different background, that's normal to them. And to us, this is kind of normal. Not to say that Italian and Latino are the same, but they are pretty similar.
They're
And then we were talking about how we really like Korean, Japanese horror. We kind of went on like a binge back in October watching like The Ring.
#Alive, which was that new one that came out on Netflix.
Actually, the Ring series was on Netflix. It was the series, not the movie.
It was called, it was the actual name of the spirit.
Actually, there's so many similarities. I think any movie now that's like about a virus in quarantine, we're going to just compare it to coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
There is like a scene that is pretty messed up where everyone tries to, because there's a Asian family.
Oh man, yeah, this was all problematic because of what's going on now too in April 2021.
Yeah, this movie's kind of eerie, right? Because it could be like themes that were covered in it like happened in 2020.
Yeah.
Because there's instances of police misusing their power, things like that.
Yes,
because in a horror movie, it's a zombie. It's
he's
different.
He's the only official who's there, and so everyone's crowding him, and he pulls his gun on them, and everyone's like, "What the heck?"
To keep power on the situation, yeah. And then there is an Asian family living in this apartment complex in Spain. And immediately, all the neighbors want to blame them for the spread of this virus. And it's like,
ridiculous.
What? And then you find out who the actual like cause of the virus is. It's a Karen type figure, and it's just like kind of uncanny how you could find these themes in the year 2020 in this film that came out in 2007. I think that's what's great about horror. It like really brings to the surface all the things that are underneath our society and is like, this is what you do. And it proved right in 2020.
There are people who don't realize that.
Oh,
isn't it?
No.
Like, there's people who watch this and are like, what? I didn't get that. And it's like, no, it's definitely there, man. Why is it over your head?
Or are we just like looking too deep into this? You watch the movie, you decide.
But when you're introduced to this group of people who live in this building, again, being of Mexican descent, it just reminded us a lot of those shows that bring you into these characters who are all over the place. There's a guy who I kept calling him El Relambido, which in English is a guy who uses his spit to comb his hair.
And I kept calling him Frankie Rivers because that's a character in Los Vecinos. And he literally looks like him. Like they modeled.
A very eccentric guy.
Yeah. Google it. I cannot describe it.
Even later when they interview him, he's like, so like he's brushing his eyebrows and his little hair and he's like, oh, do I look good? Which side is, he's very into himself and wants to look good on the camera because he's very, very
to then spew some super racist commentary. Yeah. Wow.
I was like, the racist Relambido.
Yes.
But we also get introduced to this older couple who's like cute. You said that they were exactly us.
I didn't say they were cute. No, I said this is literally how we talk to each other, which like makes me think, are we 60 years old?
Maybe
80 years old. It was funny because kind of to pass the time and amidst the chaos, Angela starts interviewing everyone. And she interviews this couple and they're like trying to explain how the night's going, but they're like arguing like, no, that didn't happen. No, this didn't happen.
Even say anything about the actual story.
And then the little old lady's like, I'm cold. I need to go up and get another jacket. And then the man's like, you're fine. You don't need that. And I'm like, literally conversations we've had.
I don't think they actually said anything about what happened either. Because they were just like, well, I was sleeping and then suddenly everyone was in the lobby.
And then they were like, do you remember this time? And then you're like, about this time?
And the guy's like, no, let me talk. And he's like, I'm trying to tell the story.
That's just how we talk to ourselves. That's how we talk to each other in the house all the time.
But
they immediately go up to see like what they think is just a fallen old lady. Which if an old lady falls in okay, so we live in a condo community. If someone fell and yelled in the apartments here, I don't think that like everyone going down to the lobby would be the
You'd also
course
have to
of action.
First hear it, because at least in this place, you know, it's there's like a spiral staircase in the center, so it's easy to hear everyone else. Whereas here, there's not that, right?
Yeah.
But there, again, think about it. Los chismosos, los vecinos chismosos, everyone comes out. The nosy neighbors, that's all I'm saying. It's a pretty big thing. So nosy neighbors come out and they all start figuring out, like, what's going on? So they all run to the lobby. And I think because they were already in the lobby, the cops were like, well, it's a good idea to have everyone here and stay here and force them to stay here so we can keep a head count.
But because the cops have an ulterior motive, you find out in the midst of the chaos that a dog that belongs to... We keep calling her the Karen figure because they don't say her name, I believe. But she has a daughter named Jennifer. Their dog, they have a dog named Max, became very ill.
Poor dog.
He went into a coma, came out of a coma, and just was reacting super violently and attacked all the animals. And they had to like use so much to take him down. And when they took out the microchip on the dog, they realized that the dog was belonging to this whole apartment. Well, not the whole apartment complex, but in there.
This is all pieced together through small details as the movie
throughout
proceeds.
The movie. Yeah. We get that information from a health
medical officer
who comes in to draw blood on everyone in the apartment. Here's the thing that is like super fucked up. They seal them off. They don't tell them why.
They're like, if you approach the windows, we're gonna have to take drastic measures.
How terrifying. They don't tell you what's going on, but they're gonna shoot you. You automatically assume something terrible is happening.
Don't panic, but also if you approach the windows, we're gonna
You want us to comply? You haven't told us anything. And then one of the characters later on says, they cut off our phones, they cut off our TVs, we don't know anything that's going on. And I'm like, is that legal?
But did they? Because the lady kept saying that her husband was outside and she kept talking to him.
They cut off their phones eventually. Like, here's the thing that I think why that wouldn't work now and why she was able to talk to her husband. She's the only character holding a cell phone.
So maybe they cut off the landlines.
Yes. I don't know. 2007.
Phones were a thing.
Phones were pretty common.
I had a prepaid phone at the time. Not any razors like you did.
Oh my God. I didn't get a razor until like 2008.
Ooh, 1 year.
Yeah.
Big deal.
It was a big deal, okay? That's how I would text you at night.
I was texting you on my track phone with my 20 minutes.
That's how you told me to watch this movie, so that how many years later, 10 years later, we could make a podcast and cover it.
Not 10, like 13 now.
I was trying to make us sound younger than we are.
13 years later.
Yeah, that's crazy to think.
That's crazy. But we are skipping over a lot of details. So they go upstairs, and this is when they see that bloodied older lady. She looks very nervous, jittery. She's like shaking where she's standing, and the cops are kind of like, I don't understand this. If there's something creepy and weird going on in front of me, when and why the hell would I ever turn around to say something with my back to whatever the hell is going on, right? Like, I don't know what the hell's wrong with this lady.
Yeah.
She's got blood all over her body. The last thing I'm going to do is look away.
Interesting to note, because they constantly are turning around to tell him to turn off the camera. And it's kind of like, again, very reflective of today. They don't want this to get out. They don't want people to know about it. They're more worried about what's going to happen with that. They don't protect themselves and see what's behind them.
This is at a time where not everyone had a phone to put it on.
Exactly. Or phones did not have that capacity. Because even though I had a razor at that time, you could take 30-second videos.
And they were super...
And they were blurry.
Blurry, yeah. So they panic to go downstairs. Everyone's seeing this happening because they're like, what the hell happened? Alex stayed upstairs. Manu, which was the Joe Rogan looking guy, the younger cop, were carrying the older cop down. And in the chaos of like, what's going on? They're trying to ask the younger cop, like, what the hell? What's happening? And
we find out one of the tenants is a medical assistant.
The police are outside saying, you can't leave already at this point. They're crying over the younger cop, and the younger cop is very stressed out. I mean, I can understand that, right? Like, you're the only one who technically could know something going on, and everyone in this building is like, what's happening? Why are you lying? He also is like, I really don't know. I don't know what's happening here.
But kind of implies that he does know more.
Did he? I don't know if he ever really did. I think because even at the end, he's like, I really don't know what's happening. I'm here just like you guys.
Yeah.
I think the younger cop honestly really didn't know, but he was still getting a lot of the like frustration of the community. They are talking, and then just out of nowhere, we find out that Jennifer has tonsillitis because they're like, she needs her medication.
Allegedly.
And in that same moment, this is the moment I was talking about in the fun facts, a body drops from the center of the stairs, and it's Alex. And
it is so surprising because this is the scene in typical like zombie movies where they are yelling at each other, trying to figure stuff out, and it's kind of like something reminds them of the bigger picture. It just slams. Yeah, they've got time to argue instead of going and stopping the problem. So they're like, oh crap, we gotta save him too, and he's bloodied all over the ground. You thought he lost a limb, but no, his cheek was bloody, and he put up blood. She did bite his cheek though, because then later the medical assistant's like working on both their cheeks. This old lady likes cheeks. She didn't, yeah. This likes cheeks. Yeah. They're not butt cheeks. She could have just been pull the pants down, let's bite some butt cheeks. You gotta put Kevin Bacon in this movie. A whole new definition of eating ass. So they go upstairs, and later we find out, Colombian lady who also lives there. Who does not get named. That's just how they describe her throughout the whole movie. She just passes out in front of them. And then the old lady comes out of nowhere, and then that's when they gun her down, and she just comfortably sits along the side of the wall. This lady had a really weird time figuring out how to die, because later she gets hit in the face and also does these very dramatic... Yeah, I call her like probably the worst zombie ever, because she constantly gets knocked out, but also poor old lady, she's having a rough night. Yeah. She gets shot at, and then, what is it, a sledgehammer to the face? Yeah. I also like how these virus or infected folks are very conscious of what body parts they're getting hit in, because later I think one of the men gets hit in the face and he grabs his nose like, oh my god, you broke my nose. I don't think that's very prominent in other movies where the zombies are kind of just brainless and they don't really care where you hit them. It's the acting. Yeah. Choices. Throughout the whole movie, they constantly are telling him to like stop filming, but we get this scene with the old lady right what you were talking about. So she's shot by the cop, and that scene's kind of like, it's a commentary that you could look into yourself. But he's kind of saying, like, he had no choice. He had to do it. Why did you film this? Why did you film? Like, he's very angry at the cameraman for filming this. And I'm like, they kind of have a point, because all these people are getting injured and dying. And say, you think you're going to survive this? You want to be like, I did not murder anyone, sir. Here is the video evidence of me not being the one to kill these people.
Yeah. With that said, we get an action replay for some reason, because Angela's like, let me go watch that old woman get shot at by that cop one more time in slow motion. And they rewatch it.
Yeah, and I wonder why they did this, because there's times throughout the movie where they're like asking questions about stuff they've already filmed, and they never rewind the film again just for this scene.
Like that scene where they're panicking about, what floor did that guy say they were on? And we're like, well, watch the video.
You know what I think happened? This was their only like big budget kill, and they're like, we gotta watch it again. So we kind of finally get the hint that something's going on.
The medical officer makes his way in.
Yeah, basically they just announced, oh, we're sending a biohazard chemical warfare person. And they're like, it's fine. No, actually, Angela's like, what does that mean? And then the fireman's kind of like freaked out. Like,
CBRN. They're looking at each other. The cop and the fireman definitely look at each other's eyes like what? What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, I think if I was Angela too, I'd be like, y'all just gave each other a look. Y'all need to tell us what's going on.
Well, could you imagine their mindset and what they're thinking? Even for the firemen, you came in here just thinking that some just emergency, like you said, normal nights, cats getting saved, etc. And you hear this very important CBRN acronym, and you're like, oh, no, what the hell could possibly be happening? And so Manu is definitely... Manu, yeah, is definitely aware of what's going on, and so the officer and himself are kind of arguing about, like, what could this mean? The folks are all upset, because they're like, you guys aren't telling us what's happening. And this is when we get those, like, mini interviews of everybody.
This is where she interviews the little girl, Jennifer, and we find the important details of the dog.
The medical officer came in, says, there's a possible infection in the building, and we need to get a head count of everyone. We need to get samples. And everyone's like, what? Samples for what? What's wrong with us? And so they're like, well, is everybody here? And so they try to get a head count of everybody who's in the building. This is when we found out that the family had a grandparent or a parent upstairs sleeping. And so they're like, what the hell? We need to go find him. And so this is also when we found out that the Rambido is racist. It's their fault because they always cook fish for some reason. It's a ridiculous reason.
Yeah, he says like some super problematic stuff.
Yeah, what a piece of shit. So they're like, our father's been sick, he's been in bed. Everyone starts to claim that it's his fault, which is their fault.
Shitty. They try to turn on them, and
and this is when Manu becomes like a G. He's like, yo, y'all are all claiming that it's their fault. There's literally a sick little girl right here.
Which is what I said.
Yeah, you were saying that tonsillitis doesn't make you look the way this little girl starts to look. She's becoming paler and paler, starts to get these really weird cuts around her face and skin. And this is when everyone's kind of looking at Karen, or whatever her name was.
They don't say.
And she's like, what? No.
It's tonsillitis.
It's tonsillitis. And this scene is so weird because the little girl's got no signs of being infected, but she just kind of like stares blankly at everyone, and she just turns and eats her mom's face.
Yeah, has no one here seen Night of the Living Dead? Creepy little comatose girl.
She's probably the creepiest
She's a zombie.
Creepiest thing in this whole movie.
It's a zombie.
I told you that when she bites the mom's face, she drops her, obviously, and the little girl like screams at them and then runs upstairs. But I was like, if I saw a little zombie kid scream at me, I'd just go straight punt them across the room. What the hell?
You did say that.
I don't know if that's problematic, but honestly, if it's about to kill me, if it's about to kill me, I'm about to just go destroy it.
Yeah, and it's actually not until the health officer comes in that we kind of know what's going on, because he's handcuffing the survivors.
The ones that are passed out.
That are passed out. And then he gives the background story of the dog. And then Angela's like, wait, you mean their dog? And that's when the girl decides, like, the jig is up. Time to eat people.
They're aware.
They know. And she runs upstairs, and they try to chase her with, like, it seems like he has a cure. He has a vaccine that they want to give her, or maybe they want to sedate them. That's not really clear throughout the movie.
Right.
And they try to attack the little girl. It doesn't go
This is another one of those, like, look away moments, and that's when she attacks. Again, I hate it. I don't know, man. Would you do this? Would you let the thing that's probably the most dangerous thing in the room give it your back?
There are so many things in this movie that I would not do the way they did. Again, maybe it's because we've lived through a pandemic, but they're all, like, together in close quarters, breathing on each other, super close. I think what I told you is I would barricade myself in my own apartment away from everybody else.
Probably would have been the safest thing in this whole movie.
Yeah.
Because in any situation where they do end up barricading themselves, they're still exposed. Later when the chaos ensues and the infected start to come alive, the one dude who was helping everybody gets infected too, and they're all running out. They end up handcuffing the mom to the stairs, and everyone's kind of panicking. Everyone kind of just scatters, and it's a whole mess. Manu, Angela, and the cameraman, and El Relambido, they end up locking themselves in one of the rooms, and they're like, what the hell is happening? And the Relambido's like, we're safe, but how do we get out of here? And they're like, well, that medical officer just barely told us what's going on. And they're like, well, he's in here. They're like, what? So they go find him, and he's like, I've been bitten. I can't help you guys. Just go away and lock me up. This is the one time that I felt like they were probably safe because they had locked themselves in this room. Yes. But then they're locked in there with the medical officer, so they also have to escape.
Because why did this happen? The scene is chaotic. We kind of missed it a little bit. When they handcuffed, Jesus, I couldn't think of the word. When they handcuffed the Karen type lady to the banister after the little girl has bitten the cop, and like the medical assistant is like trying to get out of the textile area along with another one of the zombies. The medical expert is like, oh shit. The other officer had the keys to let this lady go. He freaks out and kind of chickens out, is a coward, and just runs upstairs because these other zombies are coming. He can't free this lady anyways. She's already bitten.
Classic zombie movie stuff where it's like the chaos doesn't let you make any smart decisions.
Rational decision. He's a coward, but ultimately endangers everybody else because he is bitten and runs upstairs. And then that's when these zombies come out and eat the Karen type lady because she's handcuffed to the stairs. But she was already infected. Mm-hmm. Now it's a cruel death, but she was already a risk.
This is why I don't understand these movies.
It's like they use her as bait.
Not purposely. Yeah. But yes. A lot of these undead zombie virus movies are like that in that I have dreams about this stuff all the time. If you are in this like survival mode where, okay, yes, it hurts that your loved one is stuck, but if that person is just definitely infected now and there's no way around it, there's no way around it. They're infected and you definitely know there's no way to solve this problem. Yes, don't leave them to die like horribly, but the guy with the gun. The cop had a gun. He could have shot.
Yeah, but he got attacked already.
Oh, that's right. And
the fire department doesn't have guns either.
That's true. He had a sledgehammer though. But you know what I mean? Like you just
at that point, what's more cruel?
He hits the old lady with it.
She's already a zombie.
So my point is that the people put themselves at risk to save those who are already infected and unsavable. And I get it. It's inhumane to leave them behind, but also if you're going to risk saving everyone else for one person, what's the right decision? It's so hard.
Along with that line of questioning, I've always thought, what happens once everyone's infected? Their food supply is gone. What do they do then?
Do they eat each other?
It's
kind of what happened in 28 Days Later, isn't it? That the zombies started to just starve?
Yes, they starved to death. And I've always wondered, that's kind of the only movie that I've seen that kind of explores that. I want a movie that really explores that, like what would they do? Do they survive?
I don't know.
Does any living creature, well, I guess they're dead.
Does the show The Walking Dead address it?
I don't think I watched that far in to know.
If you know, if anything is ever explored.
If you have a theory, please share it with us.
Yeah. Email us at shekenotscaredpod@gmail.com.
But yeah, the chaos just continues to unfold. What's a cool scene is like they're all running up the stairs trying to battle the zombies, and at the end we're only left with Angela and Pablo, and they look down at the spiral staircase, and like every section of the spiral staircase, a zombie is staring up at them.
They find out Manu was dead. He's the first one with the big ass eyes that's upside down. Yeah. You see him staring straight at the camera. You're like, oh fuck! So Manu, the guy who's saving everybody, is gone too. He's been the one who's been like sledgehammering zombies. You imagine like panicking, trying to find some keys, and you get like my keys. My keys have a lot of keys.
Yeah, that's what she does because she like comes out of the room carrying 1,000,000 keys. It ends up not mattering because
I thought it was unrealistic how fast she finds the right key.
Yeah, you got a whole freaking set of keys.
They put the keys on the floor, and you could hear all the zombies. So the panic and the pressure is definitely rising in you as the viewer, and for them because you're like, look for the right key, and she finds it right away.
Let's hope that the dude was like a little OCD and labeled every single key.
It's the one with
it's this one.
It's the one with the soccer club on it.
Well, they're looking for the key to the basement because the racist dude was like, there's a basement and we could get out through the sewers, and then he gets eaten by a zombie right after sharing that information because he's trash. Yeah. They don't end up there. They keep climbing higher, and they end up in this room that was described briefly.
This is the part where it all just becomes very
This is the plot twist.
Cryptic.
This This is the plot twist in this movie. Because earlier when they were doing the roll call, they're like, oh, who lives in this one apartment on the 5th floor? And they're like, a man who's never here. He like lives in Madrid most of the time. And I would be like, why do you have this place then?
Is it that weird? We had a neighbor once who would say that she traveled every weekend and wasn't here for 2 weeks at a time or something like that.
But they made it seem like never. Like maybe 6 months out of the year they lived somewhere else, which people
She's doing
do.
the same thing. We should be suspicious of her. She was probably doing something like that.
I'm always suspicious.
Yeah. There's a neighbor here who says she goes to Florida for 6 months, which I don't disagree with. It's fucking cold in here in the winter.
There's flying squirrels in here and shit. They've entered this room, and it is a very creepy situation because...
If you want to call religious artifacts creepy.
I think the way they were displayed was creepy. It was, like, papered all over the wall, conspiracy theory style.
Newspaper articles with these people and their faces carved out. Little girls with their eyeballs out. It's kind of just the typical stuff you think of when you think of...
Like serial killer type stuff.
Rubber bands on pins and things kind of just...
Pointing at it frantically, you know? Because at first you don't get what's going on. You're piecing it together with Angela. There's like a constant image of this little girl. It looks like in communion garb. But there's like a lot of little girls in communion garb. So I was like...
I think it's supposed to be all the same one, right? Because then all the articles...
Yeah, you eventually learn it's all the same one. But like... It's weird because they have all the children in their like white clothes. I'm like, child bride type situation going on. Then you find out it's all about this one girl
who was possessed and was exorcised. They'd taken her in and then apparently escaped.
She escaped from the hospital. Again, you're piecing this together with stuff that Angela's finding in the apartment.
So is it that she escaped or is it that this man took her?
Took her.
Okay.
Because...
By orders of the Vatican.
Yes.
Right?
They find this recording where this man basically explains that he took her because she's possessed and has a virus, and he's trying to isolate the virus. What the Vatican would want with a virus is very interesting.
He keeps calling it an enzyme.
An enzyme.
Yeah.
I've isolated it.
A demon enzyme.
It's growing. It's like all over the place. And
the Venom symbiote.
Yes.
Enzyme.
Symbiote. I can never hear that word again.
Symbiote.
Yeah. Eventually the Vatican's like, finish the study and kill the girl. We don't care anymore. Which, like, ooh, cruel.
He does keep talking about how his experiments failed, though, so I think that's why.
And he's like, it's well overdue. I can't wait to kill this girl.
We can't let this thing escape.
If it escapes, God help us. Why are you experimenting on it in the first place if that can happen?
So it's also dark. You only see what's visible by the light of the camera. And
the like attic door swings down, and then the cameraman's like, I'm just gonna stick my camera up there to see what's happening. Why would you do that? No, you seal that shit back up.
Yes, logic. Okay, movie logic.
Yeah, and he like is panning around the attic, and it looks like a little boy, right? It's not the thin woman.
Maybe she was pregnant and had a baby.
Well, that's what like I want to know. Did this man who was experimenting on her like impregnate her?
It's probably all fucked up.
Yeah, again, there's Rec 2 that maybe goes into this that we haven't seen. Mm-hmm. But the little boy kind of like swipes at the camera. It seems like this woman and this child have been kept in the dark for years and years and years because at one point the cameraman's like, she can't see.
So we get to see the figure. They're walking around with the night vision on. Angela can't see at all. Mm-hmm. The cameraman is watching through the camera with the night vision, so he can kind of see the lanky figure in the distance, and they kind of just back up against the wall. And this is the part that I remember being, because I think I watched this in the dark by myself, being like, oh man, this is, stop, what is that? What is she?
She's extremely emaciated. Like
super lanky. She's, I don't know if it looks like throw up or blood or what it is, but she's very tall.
Very tall.
And looks like something else. Looks like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, honestly.
She looks like Slender Man and that Junji Ito
model. It's the one with the
story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They had a baby.
Don't forget, she's beautiful.
Yes.
All right. But I agree. She's carrying around a hammer that she's using. It sounds like she probably uses it to see where she's at.
Yeah, she can't see. She's like sonar type. They're breathing pretty heavily, so it's hard for me to believe that she would have not heard them.
If her literal thing is sound, I mean.
Is sound.
He's even whispering to her like, all right, come on, let's go.
Let's go.
All right, come on, let's go.
Shh. Like, you would hear that.
They literally play the radio thing.
She obviously knows someone's there because also the child has like swiped at the camera, so she's come down to like defend the child. But eventually they do make a sound and the woman turns on Pablo and like is attacking him. Camera's dropped and eventually it does pan back where Angela has picked it up and can see that the woman is eating Pablo. And then she freaks out and like drops the camera and tries to run, and she's in the dark and can't see anything. And then the final scene is Angela being dragged away. It's very Blair Witch, very obvious like tribute to Blair Witch because like her face is in the camera and she's freaking out.
This looks so weird in the night vision, right? Is that usually how eyes look?
Maybe.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Her like is it the retinas? Retinas? Pupils? What's the
Pupils?
colored part? Pupils? Retinas are the black dot, right?
Pupils are the black part, and your
Retinas.
retina, I think, is like the whole around.
Correct
Totally
us if we're
wrong.
wrong. Yeah, correct us if we're wrong. But anyway, her eye, the colored part, her pupil, retina, whatever it is, it's very creepy also. I paid attention to it because I thought it was weird. If that's not how you normally see a night vision, it's
Terrifying.
weird. Yeah, because they look bulbous.
I don't think I noticed that much.
So that was the movie. It's insane. I remember loving this movie. I've seen it a ton of times.
I've watched it a ton of times too, and every time I still think it's exciting. Every time I'm still like, oh shit. And the end still leaves you with questions, because if the demon was the one that had the virus, how did it spread to the rest of the house finally? What happened to the man? Did the man get killed? Is that why they were allowed to like spread the virus?
I also wonder how the dog got it, because they think it's the dog's fault or whatever, but obviously it's this lady's fault.
You know what, like, this makes me think? It's gross. When you live in an apartment complex type thing, like, you share the same source of water or
ventilation.
Or, like, yeah. Or her blood maybe one time leaked through the floor and the dog licked it up and that's what started. Like, you know, stuff like that, how it could easily spread.
I mean, honestly, we've lived in a pandemic. We know how easily things can spread. I think that's what makes this even weirder. I can't imagine having to go to these extremes. Like, yes, people think it was extreme what we had to go through with the coronavirus pandemic.
Which it was.
Whatever, right?
But it wasn't a zombie outbreak.
It wasn't
extreme.
A zombie outbreak. I even think about... Outbreak. But one time I was in college and there was a bomb threat and I lived on campus and they also told us we had to stay in our dorms.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember even that, like, your immediate thought is that if something broke out in where you live, you would just lock yourself into your place and just wait it out. And obviously it doesn't make for an interesting movie.
No.
But how long can you really last? I mean, I think #Alive, the guy stays in his place and is just like video gaming and stuff and
drinking,
kind of waiting out. And it eventually just gets bored. And I think that's also what happened in this coronavirus quarantine, is that people were like, oh, this is great. I'm still driving. But people were like, okay, this is fine. Week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But then it's just insane. Imagine just all of it happening one night to this extent.
You don't even get the option to quarantine yourself in and like go crazy yourself. It's all like too much chaos is happening.
Everyone's in the lobby. What do you think? Everyone's own personality is getting in the way. I think it's crazy that you find out that Jennifer is the infected among them.
I don't think it's crazy. I think if like an outbreak were to happen right now and one of the neighbors walked out with their kid, I'd be like, no, you put that thing back where you came from.
Even if it wasn't sick?
Or still help me.
Even if it wasn't sick?
Yes, exactly.
They're going to say that we're the ones infecting people with our dog.
No. My dog's healthy. My dog eats raw.
Raw virus meat.
Yeah.
That's not what?
Do I say that part again where I was screaming?
If you want.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's always...
It's unnatural.
It's going to be unnatural now, but then I'm like always screaming into the mic.
The listeners love it. If we have any listeners still today, it's because they love it.
People love when I blow out their eardrums.
They can't continue to listen to us if you keep screaming in their ears. That's why they keep just pressing play. They don't even know what we're saying.
What's happening? They're like, this is a great show.
I love it when they're quiet.
I love a good, quiet, white noise podcast. What would you rate this movie?
In Spanish, 9. In English, 7. Again, the English dub voice acting did get better later. And I think it's because it's just how could you mess up panicking, I guess. You know, like when it's just them talking, it's kind of like...
Okay,
yeah,
like don't rate it with the English dub because that was just trash.
Okay, 9.
I'd give this movie a 10.
Yeah?
It is a great zombie plot twist demon.
There's a little bit of religion in there.
Yeah. The thing that I like about this movie is it's an hour and 15 minutes. So it really like
condenses
the panic of what probably like would happen. So to me, this is a 10 out of 10. Probably, I don't know if this is accurate because they're like demon zombies, but probably my favorite zombie movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Demon zombies.
Demon zombies. Gotta be extra.
It is a cool twist. I'm wondering what Rec 2 is about now.
I just have this like preconceived notion of sequels just not ever being as good.
So you stay away.
But then we were watching In Search of Darkness. How many times did we mention that this episode? But they're saying like Friday the 13th 2 and 3 are like better than 1 in some aspects.
This is just a possessed girl who ended up being stuck in this place because of some demented Vatican dude. Who knows what her life could have been like had she continued to be at the hospital.
Not met a terrible man.
Right. What if she got sexually assaulted and that's why there's that boy in the attic?
And that's why she was acting possessed.
Oh, that's why she was acting possessed?
Yeah, because, oftentimes possessions are like
Pregnancies? Is that what you're
Yes. You've not seen Rosemary's Baby?
You literally have a spirit inside you.
No, that's not what I was going to say. Position films, I think more now, there's always that underlying current of like, well, could it be mental illness that went undiagnosed? But people treated it like possession in the 70s and 60s. Yeah, but do you want to talk about what scared Loki this week?
Yes. So Loki actually didn't get scared by much by this one. He's been doing way better at not being scared of things.
He was also like really sleepy.
Yeah, he was. He had a big day yesterday, but I took him running.
And he went to the vet. That's a big day for Loki.
That's true. He hated it. I think he hated it this time because he was so happy to see me. He's usually happy to go to the vet, which is weird.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. But he wasn't scared of much, but he was intrigued by and almost went in a trance like the creep show episode with the sirens. He like tilted his head a ton.
He was like, all right, I'm going to sleep.
Brush my teeth.
He was in a mood last night, maybe because he did go to the vet. He was like needy. And he's a very independent dog. He's kind of like, he acts so much like a cat where he's like, don't touch me. I'm going to be near you at all times, but don't touch me. And that night, you had gone to shower and I was trying to take a picture for Instagram. And he was so done with me trying to take a picture. He like nudged my phone out of the way and like sat in the middle of my legs and was like, me, pay attention to me. He had a bad day.
I think that medicine's supposed to make him tired. That's probably it too.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us about your bad day, Loki? Okay, I'm sorry. You don't have to go to the vet for like another year, I think.
Yeah. 1 year and then his rabies shot's only 3 years. I think they gave him one shot in the nose. So I'm sorry, boy.
He did have a bad day.
I'm sorry they do that to you, boy. You don't have to go for a year.
Yeah, I mean, you better not fucking go for a year. I swear to God, don't eat something weird.
That lady tried to say that cyst he has on the side of his body is a nipple.
I made that joke before you left. They're just gonna tell us it's another nipple.
I was like, that's definitely not a nipple. It's literally on his back. What are you talking about? For those who maybe were worried that that's a cyst, they said it's okay. It's not anything bad.
Loki is okay. He's a mutt, and mutts are typically healthier. Yeah.
Anyway, that's the show. That's Rec. Try out this virus. This little nasty, cute virus.
Cute little nasty virus. No, do not try this, Shooter. Ugh, you might as well drink Pledge.
Don't do that.
Don't do that either. I'm trying to discourage you from drinking this. As always, we hope you guys had a good time here. You can keep up with us pretty much anywhere at Shaken Not Scared Pod for Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok. Our Gmail is shakenotscaredpod@gmail.com. Our Twitter is shakenscaredpod. And
you can support the show on Patreon now. We'll name our next drink after you with mentions on our website where the drink page will live forever.
We promise we'll make a better drink than this.
You can listen to us on all your favorite podcasting sites, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, a bunch of others. Give us a listen. Give us a follow.
Like, a rate, a review. Come on, guys. I want a review on Apple. I
One with writing.
Every day. If you want to tell us we suck, I don't care. I just want a review.
If they tell us we suck, we've made it.
We made it. So, yeah, I think that's it. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.